Let's see how that's going. All right. This is gonna go at all on account of new YouTubey things. I haven't heard anybody say anything about how live streams are going to be affected. But if anybody's out there and is able to chat and stuff, and this is going to be totally normal and usual, then cool. Jump out and say hi, and I'll say hi back, and we'll go our evening from there. Home Lee, how are you doing, friend? How are you doing? Shinrainer, but this is the hand I've dealt myself, and this is where we're at. Homely, doing well. Been trying to get a new house. Oh, that's right. I forgot you're doing the house thing. How is that going? Hopefully, not as stressful as it can be. Hopefully, you're having good luck on your end. How is the audio? It's coming on winter now, and it's cold, and the furnace, just right on the other side of the table from me, is busily furnacing away and is a bit loud. So is that affecting the audio at all? Do I need to speak up or speak more directly to the camera or anything like that? If you can hear me just fine, then that is spectacular. Is that a sling fire? Yes, quite the sling fire it used to be yesterday, but it's much happier for it now. Uh, Homely, a lot of hurry up and wait stuff. Boy, I remember that when I was doing the house buying thing. That's not as much fun, but as long as you're making progress, then I reckon that's not at all bad. And if you can get in by Christmas, that'll be nice. Nice little Christmas present for yourself. It's Scar. Get back. Okay. Derpy Frost. Bit glitchy, but understandable. Sometimes it's clear. Okay. Is anybody else having? Is my streaming not streaming well, or what? Mr. Waffle Denny working on an integration and needs some advice. Would you be willing to help? Certainly. If you have specifics, want to share pictures and stuff, you go ahead and reach out to my Facebook and send me pictures of what exactly you're looking at, and we can throw some ideas around. Just have a couple quick comments or anything, then you can just throw them up here, and I'll do my best. Audio is fine. Connection seems a bit jumpy, but could be on my end. Not sure how to go about that. This guy. See, I don't know internet things. I don't know how to make internet stuff happen, so I don't know if it's a Wi-Fi thing or what is the culprit for making that work better. I'd eventually like to get my computer. I have an old, well, not an old computer. It was a brand new computer that lasted about like a couple of months and then died. That I'd like to get fixed up to run streaming operation out here, so I can have a actual display, not just the iPad over here, and be able to have something a little more reliable, camera and stuff like that, instead of just my phone sitting precariously above my head talking to the iPad over here and stuff. But we'll see. Someday, someday. Okay, that's generally what I do, and I believe you've been guilty of that as well from time to time. Is it possible to make a pump grip sling fire? I don't reckon why not. You'd need to add some kind of barrel up front for your priming action to slide on, and you'd have to totally redo everything back here. I'm not sure there's enough room on the sides to do a internal priming mechanism or internal linkage arms. You'd have to do basically like a worker style external linkage arms, like a long shot retaliator type setup or something like that. But I mean, anything is generally possible. It depends on how committed you are to the project, I guess. Neo Seeker, hello there yourself. And then every second's a jump. Okay. Sorry about that. Like I said, I'm not sure if that's. Hang on. Let me try something here. I don't know if that's gonna help, but we'll see. See if that affected things going to the house Wi-Fi, which I don't think will help and probably will make things worse. But you know. All right. J. Rowe, happy pre-Thanksgiving. Thank you very much. Honored to fight on your side during Ragnarok Oktoberfest. Yes. Good to see everybody again. It was good for me to have a nice nerfy event to go rub shoulders with the community and stuff. That really needed that. So, what are you making right now? Right now, oh, kind of a snap decision project where I had this sling fire. It was severely chopped down. It was chopped off basically flat, along, flush with the front of the magwell, and had the jam door missing. Industries a couple months ago, and it just been kicking around in the parts bin or the loaner bin. And I'd get it out once in a while, flip it around because it was just super lightweight, and since there's no mass to it or anything. And I was just looking at it, and I thought, it'd be cool if the grip didn't suck, because it's just got this, sharp edge right here, and so when you'd flip it, it would kind of, graze your hand a little bit, and you had this hanging out, and thought, it'd be cool to do something else here, like an actual grippy grip to put back here, so it, for one thing, doesn't have the fake wood, doesn't have the fake wrap stuff, which I don't like at all, but it has this whole kind of proprietary, only fits this thing, method of attachment. And I thought, man, there's got to be something, but it has to be something straight here to match up with the uh, priming, the lever action thing. And I just happened to be cutting other things off of a Paragon, and I saw this really flat surface on the face and thought, boy, that's really weird. And it was just kind of a passing thought. I thought, wow, that's it's kind of a dumb design. Whereas the Ravonic really flat. I thought, hey, I wonder if that'll work. And the curve on the bottom of the grip just rounds right around the end of the lever action deal here, which was just super neat. Had to cut a whole lot of the top and bottom off of the grip, take off the wrap stuff, and do a lot of weird, sketchy cutting into the area up in here on this one to get the grip to fit in there, and then kind of puttied around and blended it all in. But this is just a super duper fun, happy, phenomenal grip, and it makes me really happy to swing it around. And of course, I needed something up front so it wasn't just squared off, but I didn't want to have I wanted to make it less sling fiery and more sci-fi-y looking. So I thought, it'd be cool to have some kind of like little sci-fi mare's leg kind of thing. And the Rattler, Super Soaker Rattler, fit on there quite nicely. Actually, the this one was baked pretty good in the sun, and so the original muzzle piece here broke and turned to dust. And so I have a Vulcan piece that I'm kind of mocking up to fit in here. Probably going to change this up, need to add something down here and then blend this in a little bit, but that's kind of where we're at right now. It's just really, really, really comfortable and makes me happy. It's a lot smoother now. Okay, cool. Good deal. Thanks, Ed, for the feedback. Let me know if it stays good or gets worse or whatever. Hey there, Mr. Nathan. Good to see you, or your hands at least. Hi. Is that better? Recently did that with my Sling Fire. Do you have any recommendations for grips that I can put on there? You can do what I did, or technically, Devil's Nerf Work sent me a prototype-ish type grip that he'd worked on that is super neat and comfortable, but doesn't super duper work. And I don't know if I'd like hardcore recommend it for other Sling Fire um, applications, but it's super cool and I liked it. But yeah, there's not a whole lot out there for Sling Fire grips except for who the heck was it? There's somebody used to be on Instagram and is no longer on Instagram. I can't remember who they were, but they designed a couple. There's a couple on Thingiverse. One is just kind of a broom handle affair that has a matching lever replacement thing and stuff like that. But there's not a whole lot out there for the Sling Fire, which is really too bad because, like, I know a lot of people seem to like the stock, but I hate, like, it's comfy. Like, it fits nice as far as the way the blaster has to work, but it just looks really dumb, and I don't like that part. So beyond fabricating your own thing, I'm not sure I have any recommendations for you. Sorry. Hi, Bobbert Nerfs. All right. So originally these does that fit? Nope. Nope. These originally fit in that hole there, but they're so darn thick that I'd have to carve out the side of the Sling Fire shell itself, which I don't want to do because there's kind of important screw ports there, and I want to have. If it was a flywheeler, you have a little more flexibility on what you can cut off where because there's not a lot of flexing in the shell itself. It's just the components themselves just kind of operate on their own. And so, especially since I might be looking into increasing the spring load a little bit on this, I don't want to sacrifice any of the structural integrity of the shell itself if I can help it. So, not quite sure what I'm going to do to fill those voids because it's also going to be really tricky to get in behind to add a backer, because I was gonna put some kind of like a mesh behind or something, which would be kind of cool, or even just a straight window. I'm not totally sure yet. This here, the little piece that bumped out before was that kind of weird, softer, poly, hard to explain plastic that the water tank itself, because this was a super soaker, was built out of, and so I couldn't really bond that in because of the chemical nature of the plastic. Doesn't like bonding to things. So I might just fill that in to be smooth or do something else. Not quite sure yet. I was focusing more on just getting the shell here to lay down where I want it. And I reckon next important thing is to kind of fill up this void here. So it'd be cool since there's not enough room to put like an actual grip, but you can kind of hold the front of the blaster like that, which is kind of what you do with the Sling Fire anyway if you're not going to just flip it. But I might want to put something here that's a little, just a little smoother or a little better transition. So, might roll away here in a second and dig around through the parts bin and see if I can get some inspiration. All right. Someone over here is making wooden replacements for Sling Fire stocks. They're also longer, so I'm double happy. Interesting. Ed, if you have any names you can drop for that, that would be very interesting, because I don't recall seeing anything about that. Still haven't figured out how to move the trigger into a sensible position, so it's not that good. Yeah, you and your metric ergonomics. Just got the idea of using a grip from a sledge fire and putting it on the Sling Fire. You think that would work? Grip from a sledge fire, putting in a Sling Fire. Huh. It's possible, but yeah, because there's no load in here. So I mean, if you can, hack and cut and paste them together, and that gets you where you want to be, then I reckon that will work. Hang on a second. Are you going to paint it? Everything will get painted eventually. It just takes so darn long for me to get to the painting phase of a project that I don't really put that much thought into it until paint time comes. Huh. Actually, that's not super ridiculous as far as if I don't know if you needed this on there or not, but it's at least there for mocking up. But it does give you enough flat surface here, and this looks like this angle here, this little radius, will be sufficient if that is your purpose. Actually, yeah, the dimensions are similar, it looks like, so yeah, I don't see why you couldn't make that work if that gets you what you need for your project. It's the first time I've caught one of your streams. PL Nerf. Well, thanks for stopping by. Sling Fire and the Sledge Fire have the same connection piece. Don't believe so. Since that's just his own little deal. And this guy actually houses the actual spring. So it'd be a whole different dog, but if you have the shell of one of these things, then you could certainly, like I said, cut and paste them together. In fact, by the time you cut the, you bust off this stupid fake wrapping thing, you could probably actually get that in there without too much extra cutting. So, yeah, if that fits your fancy, then I reckon it is doable. So Mr. Nathan, you can make anything fit together and make it functional and look awesome. I can take a good stab at it anyway. I'm not going to say I can make anything work, but if I put my mind to it, then I can certainly make something happen of some kind. But thank you for the little positive words there. Matt, hello, sir. Ed, it's not long enough. Well, Ed, if you're just going to assume the size of everybody else in the world is the same as you, perhaps we have some younger listeners here, or just smaller framed listeners who like a shorter stock. And so, you know, you never know. Okay. Mr. Nathan, you're the same height as me. I'm not sure how you know that, but okay. Shorter people need shorter stocks at the point that I made. You're not a shorter person. Correct. Then maybe I'm not sure what you're talking about that needs to be shorter, or what needs to be longer. If you're referring to me sizing up the stock from the sledge fire to the sling fire, that was more of a focusing on this part of things, not necessarily the stock itself, but more just seeing if the likelihood of getting the grips to mate together. So it's more of a mental exercise. Okay, so where we're at with this one. Tinkered with this a little bit today. Got the main shell section up here fitted semi-permanently. I mean, it's lined up pretty good, and I'm pretty happy with it. I thought about moving it, front or back a little bit. I don't think I can scoot it back any further because I need to have. Here's a pointer thing. This area right here is really crucial because this is where the mount for the dart gate and that whole part of things for the way the breech and everything works, the dart gate thing. So I need to have this thing here, and I cut it back as far as I could and kind of shaved off some of it, more than I probably should have actually, to make it fit. So we're kind of bound by this front to back here. I wanted to have it as short as possible because I wanted to keep it very compact and kind of muscly looking. I didn't want to have a big long nose hanging off of it because then I wouldn't really be gaining anything over a regular sling fire. I wanted to have it as compact as possible and yet as cool looking as possible at the same time, so it was kind of a delicate balance. Like I said, the muzzle piece had rotted off, and so I'm playing with this Vulcan thing here. I spent about 2 or 3 hours this morning sorting through all of my parts boxes because I knew I had a Magnus muzzle, and I thought that would be so dang perfect to fit on here. And it's got this little ridge here that it fits into, so imagine that it's fitting in just a little bit less. But I thought, man, that'd look really nice. I'd use up that front space, and then realized that the Magnus is rather square this way, but the Rattler is more coffin-shaped, and so it tapers both sides, and so this would not work out favorably, because then the orange muzzle piece is wider than the actual face here, which really bummed me out a whole lot. Like I said, I spent a good chunk of the morning trying to find just this piece because it was going to be so dang perfect, and it ended up being not so dang perfect, and just kind of rather disappointing, actually. But I found this Vulcan piece, and I kind of stuck it up there and thought, well, that works, but it gives it a nice... It gives it more of a point to the overall shape. You have this kind of line where it is up here, steps down, this steps, and so it creates kind of a pointy look, and I wanted something a little more, I don't know, kind of bulldogish, very kind of flat-faced a little bit, a little stockier, and keeps the... I don't want to have too many long lines and make it look longer. I want to keep it kind of stocky and kind of muscly looking. And so I opened it up enough to where it fits inside, and then shaved off the little raised portions on this so it kind of locates it. I don't know how I would mount it, but I'm still in the mocking up procedure right now. Also thinking about cutting off this piece here. There again, this plastic's kind of rotted a little bit, and so it's weak, and it's kind of heavy looking, but not like in a good heavy way. It just kind of looks clunkish. And so I was considering using some kind of tubing of some kind, and maybe cutting this part out and adding a little tube that kind of sticks forward, kind of like a gas vent kind of thing, whatever those are called. Ed or other firearmy type guys could shed some more light on what those things are actually called. Kind of a thing that sticks out like this, just above the barrel, or have something below it, because you've got kind of that affair, kind of that extra tube thing underneath that just kind of looks cool, but there's nothing underneath here, and so I wanted to either remove this and incorporate something else cooler overall that takes up this space, or I don't know, not sure. I want to do something to help so this isn't quite so boxed off and kind of helps flow this together. But so I'm probably going to be poking around in the parts box, looking for inspiration there as well. The grip on that mod reminds me I still need to cut off the one from the Praxis I found. Ah, yes, the Praxis. Yes, that's also a pretty decent grip. I didn't used to like the Praxis grip because the coloration and stuff just kind of threw me off because it was green and it made it kind of look like you're holding on to a large pickle. But the whatever they called the Lumatron, the one that had the light up stuff, is colored a little bit different, and yeah, it's a comfortable grip. I do like the grip, but yeah, being a different color makes it a little look less picklish. So it's like, oh, this is a comfortable grip, not this is a a kosher dill. But let's see. Slingfire thing looking gnarly. Yes, gnarly. When you get what you want, it turns out to not be what you get what you and it turns out to not be what you need. Yeah, quite often. Yes, quite often. Depends on design, maybe a gas plug or the outer shell of the cylinder. There's a lot of brains to those mechanisms. Well, thank you very much, Ed Scar. Uh, I'm just not a firearms guy. I mean, guns are cool. I just don't know what I'm looking at. So thank you for shedding a little light up there. Derpy Frost, thanks for stopping by. Ah, Alice, thanks for stopping by. How's your evening going? I'd actually sized up this muzzle off of the Laubringer, but for one thing, it was way too long. There again, gave too much of a pointy nose on there, and it looked almost cartoonish, which I really didn't like. I kind of like the idea of having kind of a big, gnarly looking muzzle thing, but I could probably get away with it if I removed the gray portion and had it kind of sitting back there, but it still kind of gives me a long line, and I want something just very, like I said, very stocky, very kind of flat faced. Oh, and Chris and Alice, thank you for not totally breaking into song in the middle of my stream. It's kind of close call, but thank you. Just woke up because there's no sun for the next 5 months. Yeah, boy, I wish I could do that. But thanks for waking up long enough to stop by, anyway. Just for the heck of it. I know I have a handful of these things, but that's, yeah, it's just a bit too, I don't know. It's a bit too something. I'm not quite sure what it is, but it's just not grabbing me the way I want to be grabbed, I guess. So, still digging this thing for the most part. It's not my most ideal fix ever, but it's what we're riding with so far. Like I said, changing stuff top and bottom might change the effect overall of the muzzle. So if we add stuff down here and up here, we might get away with a different treatment up front for the muzzle piece. Not sure. And like I said, I kind of like having the little vented things here, but if we trim the gray part off entirely and integrate something else there to create a muzzle, even if we add more material up here, come out up this way and added some piece of something else that I don't know what it is and come down, then we could probably get away with that. Like, Here's the rest of this Magnus. So if that fits in like so, could we get away with go get a real Magnus? Oh yeah, serious question for you. I assume is that me? Ed, are you talking to me or are you talking to other stream folks? Looking at custom small silicone molds on the Super Cheap. Are there any small features or shell doodads you would want to copy? That's a very odd question that I never expected to be asked, so I will certainly puzzle on that one for a little bit and get back with you for sure. Cobalt. Cobalt, is this the Cobalt? If so, thanks for stopping by. And if it's a new Cobalt, thanks for stopping by anyway. Have the technical stuff sorted out, not as aesthetically inspired as you. Huh. A very interesting proposal, which I assume you're talking not for molding silicone things, but silicone molds for molding like resin type things, stuff like that. Oh, Alice, thank you. I'm sure that's not going to come back and haunt me. Anyway, I just had the thought, since I was working on the Magnus thing, realized that if I wanted to extend, eliminate the gray portion here and use something else to use, because I kind of like the idea of having a bit of a longer, like a tall muzzle piece to kind of, like I said there again, instead of just being a tube sticking out, it kind of pulls the lines taller. Um, but if we do this, because I'd cut the bottom part off of this, because I was thinking I was just going to use this part, and this piece was junk from another abandoned project. If we put this like that, move it in. Oh, hey now. Huh. Okay. Okay, so that dude's about there. This is about. It's fairly close, but is this part going to ruin it for us? This part makes me just a hair nervous. Just kind of eyeballing down here. Q comments about not looking down the barrel of a blaster or gun. So the Magnus is a little taller, but we'd still have a rather square face on it. Yet a square face with a little bit of a dog leg and some character there, so that counts for something as well. That would change a lot of things. Let me see if I can stand this up and kind of show you what I'm looking at here. I'm trying to center up or line up the barrels a little bit. The Magnus will hang down a little bit lower, but I wouldn't necessarily need the rail, and might be able to knock the corner off of this anyway and kind of round it off a little bit. It'd give us a little tiny bit more height on the muzzly end than this gray piece does, looks like. But at the same time, I still kind of dig having the little slotted things there. Gives an opportunity for some two-tone stuff, or to open it up entirely and make it actually look vented. One thing that kind of makes me nervous is the extra width at this point on the Magnus, which will come into, because where the narrower portion up at the top will fit in on the flat face of the red part of the Rattler. When it gets wider, it'll kind of jump into the angled surface here, which might kind of throw off the lines and look a bit clunky and confusing. Might be a bit much. That might make the front end too heavy. Yeah. I'm sitting here just teasing myself. Okay, and that would create kind of an awkward spot, because without the slide, put that up in here, we're going to end up with kind of a weird little spot here that we'll have to get creative and try to blend that in. So we're adding more parts. There again, might just have to... I'm having a thought. There again, I'm kind of in the air about how I feel about this thing. It's a bit, for a sling point, it's heavy, and so it kind of looks toyish instead of, because my eventual goal is kind of a sci-fi-ish type of a look here, and so yeah, having a really big heavy tube here that's just a sling mount gives it kind of a I was going to say like a water toy, which it literally is, but it gives it kind of a toyish look, and so I think I would forego that, trim that off, but then we have a big ramp here. But if we added something else boxy that was either similar to the size of the top here or slightly narrower, even if it was just strictly a decorative piece, that would help that. And might also give us a hint at what we can do for down here, because if we can play off of, add something up here and then play off of that design with the bottom half, then that kind of helps us out twice. So, let me roll away real quick, and I'll dig through the box, because I have a shadow of an idea in mind, and I just have to see if that's going to work. So, hold tight, be nice to each other in the chat, and yeah, I'll be back in a second. Actually, do you like the gray stuff? Favorite part of the shell? Yeah, making the front end too heavy like a hammer. Heavier front end makes it easier to flip. Heavier. Aesthetically, stylistically heavy, clunky. Yes, literally heavy. Yes, I am okay if it's like literally heavier on the front, because like I said, I'm planning on putting a slightly heavier spring in, and I still want to be able to flip it. And so weight heavy on the front, I'm okay with. It was just more aesthetically heavy as far as being just really nose heavy, stylistically was my thought. The good underside of the Magnus, connect the rails to the Super Sucker. Med weights connect to each other. Here, I'll let you guys look at that for a minute and let you guys chat. Okay. Nerf ASMR Volume 2. Yes, I would actually, I'd probably buy that. I'd watch that video or whatever. Show's name is... Use plastic weld for the first time. Chris, tell me all about it. Big fume energy. Yes, it's the smell of progress, and I love it. Pretty good. Just got back from birthday dinner. Happy to be full of crab. Nice. And the best, staying away from complaining. That works. Stuff. Alright, so I went to the box and came back with a lot of stuff. I didn't do any fitting on anything really, just kind of eyeballing stuff. So we're just going to take a nice trip in my brain here and see how it goes. So let's start with this guy. I saw this guy, it's the carry handle off the Modulus, and I was like, you know, it's dumb and I don't like it. But the idea I had, or what I saw was, it's rather narrow, and we're dealing with a lot of narrow stuff here, and it's just kind of boxy, but it's like okay boxy, not like dumb boxy, and it's got a few lines on it, so is that something we could bring up? Oh, actually, oh, hold the proverbial phone. I don't have high hopes for this, but as a practice in the theory, it's not too far-fetched. Just the idea of having this guy basically matches up with the rail, and it just becomes like a flat-topped thingy. Hang on. Okay. Bad thing is the difference in the rail style. This is like, you know, a few long bumps, and this is like shorter bumps, bumpity bumpity bump. So that's kind of a bummer there. Also, this is just basically a chunk with a slot cut out of it, whereas this is a raised section with a slot. So that, unfortunately, that won't work. But the idea that we have kind of a box that's a tapered, like a very good-looking and tapered box, there was some potential there, kind of. Let me see if I can hold it up here in the angle so you guys can see what I'm... I don't know if you can really see that, but so clever idea. That would have given it a nice kind of a high forehead, so to speak. Is that a thing? I don't know. On the other side, actually, that's still a possibility as well. Glad you specified proverbial, otherwise I'd never be able to stop texting. Crap, I suddenly had the feeling that I said something that is somewhat regrettable, so... Okay, if we pull this guy up here, wouldn't be for a usable rail, but he would fill in that area, kind of. So that's a possibility. Still makes it kind of big and heavy, but it still gives you a round, blocky thing to work with, so we won't throw him away too quite yet. However, I think these guys can all go away. Moving on. Proverbial phone. Thank you, Alice. You were being clever. That's so not like you, obviously. Grab this guy. Did not have high hopes for this because it is a kind of a curvaceous boxy. This is the pump off of a Hornet, or the pump handle off of a Hornet. But it was, first thought was, you know, something you could stick kind of in this area. But it is a bit too pointy, whereas the rest of the shell is rather still square and boxy everywhere. This does have some curves to it and some tapers, but this is a bit too, like I said, a bit too radical, a bit too pointy and edgy to really work. But I figured I'd grab it just to eyeball it, just in case. This is the bottom half of a Persuader, the little 4-round stack hammer action blaster. It's a bit narrow, but it's a bit slender. I need something a little boxier, but I just couldn't. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna work. There's an idea though. Dang. Okay, this is the bottom part, top part, bottom part of the Vagabond, that 8-round oversized pump action revolver thing from the Doomlands line. Quick thought being filling in this area here. Even the idea briefly, just since it is it's going to be primarily a flipping cool blaster. This kind of looked like a just kind of at a quick glance, kind of gave the kind of the effect of like a blade kind of thing, or some kind of melee-ish type deal. Not that you would actually be using this as a melee for like a competitive event, but more for the prop-ish sci-fi aspect of things. You know, something that perhaps you could use, since you're holding this thing kind of gunblade-ish, having this thing be able to like hack and stab on people or something. At least, like I said, just trying to find something to fill this void that's kind of visually interesting. Also gives you a little more area to hang on to. But actually, yeah, they could be kind of painted up to look aggressive and blade-ish and stuff like that. So that, well, hang on to this guy just for the whimsical nature of it. Flipping cool. Dang it, did I say flipping cool? Gosh, it's been a long day. Okay, this is the Reflex. Two different pieces of this guy, which is a worthless blaster unless you need small boxy pieces, which I was able to utilize for the little dual strike that I built for Zombona for the Secret Santa deal, which worked out just superbly for that purpose. But I think this is a bit heavy for our use here. Yeah, it's a bit wide to really work well with this taper here, and especially on the bottom. Bottom half is slightly narrower, but actually it's a bit too square. It's a bit too square. It'd be cool if it had a bit of a taper to it. Then I think we could sneak that in there, but I don't think that guy's going to be usable. So we'll toss them as well. Okay, this is the little priming handle from the Firefly. Thought being, there again, it's got a nice little taper to it. Still kind of boxy, but it's got some lines on it. I don't really like the oval hole detail because it totally does not really work on the blaster here, where these are more not, what do you call those? Those are actual slots. These are just kind of ovals, and so I think having them anywhere close would really throw it off, and so I'd definitely be filling those in anyway. But yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, you could kind of put that in there. That would fill in the space. You know, putting a section of this on here in place of. Not super duper necessary. I don't think we'd be gaining a whole lot. Well, I don't know. How do we go widthwise? That. Think about it. This here. I think if we use the other side of it, that really wouldn't work. That would barely work. We could probably pull that off. It'd be a bit awkward. We'd either have to remove this whole roundy guy on the bottom entirely and just tuck that up tight, which would technically work. Hang on a second, my eyeballs aren't wanting to look at that, so that's there, and that would barely pass, I think, for usable. So if we wanted to forego this little roundy guy here, for example, if we decide to put some kind of tube on top, and instead of having tubes everywhere, or I don't want to call it a tube, but a round detail, then we could tuck this guy up in there, which would kind of help tie this to this a little bit. Especially if we got real clever and just shortened this section up and maintained this part here, we could use a piece of this to kind of help roll into the rest of the sling fire body. I don't know if you can really see that. It's really hard to look over here, you know, be seen by this camera by looking over here and then try to manipulate stuff. So I'm trying to do my darn best to make this visible for anybody who's interested, kind of in the spirit of the Mod Along series, where, you know, I get asked a lot like, how do you do this? What in your brain shows you what to do? And I'm just kind of talking out loud what I'm seeing, and you know, so you can kind of know, oh, okay, this is what he's thinking, this is what his brain's doing while he's doing this. So this is kind of what this is all about. So this would be a possibility. So I will hang on to that guy as well. Is it possible to pop the sling out and see how it looks? You talking just like, you just want to see how the profile looks this away? For example, if you're trying to, if you just wanted a really cool looking blaster that perhaps had like flywheel to world system and a solenoid, but you wanted a real nice sweepy broom handle grip like that. Is that what you're asking? Or are you talking like actually removing the lever itself? The sling out to see how it looks. Yes, as a matter of fact, yes. Okay, see, I thought you were talking about the sling of the sling fire, which makes it what it is. Gotcha. See, what you're saying now makes an awful lot more sense. And I was considering doing it before, but you know what? Now that you say it, it sounds like a better idea. Which I reckon would have been a good idea to start with instead of working around it the whole darn time. So thank you very much for saying, hey, dummy, why don't you just do what is logical? Sling loop. Yes, there we go. Yeah, it was a bigger piece. When it fit in there before, yeah, like this, it actually went back and was actually part of this whole piece. This is all one big orange chunk in here, but I needed to cut this section free so I could fit the shells together better, and I won't be able to use that, and so I just trimmed that guy loose. So yes, under the circumstances, it drops right out, but not out of the gate. Moving on. Now I think now that we have this piece out of the way, we will go back and revisit these ones, which will be a lot easier to look at without the things in the way that were in the way. But since we haven't talked about the rest of these, we'll just do this first. We have this. Oh, well. That's convenient. Okay. We have this. This was cut out for a purpose. What was that purpose? Did some hacking on this thing for some reason, and it's probably a great reason at the time. Anyway, eyeball on this guy. That would kind of technically work. I was kind of looking at this right here, which is kind of cool because it gives you a sling point for just like aesthetic purposes to look neat. Can you see that? Oh, there. How about? There we go. Now can you see? There we go. Okay. So you get kind of the benefits of kind of the hint at a grippy texture detail here, even though it's technically a stock point or whatever, or a stock butt pad surface. So it would be possible, but I think it'd look better if this was extended further to be able to have, you know, this nice sling point for the front, even though I've never used a front sling point like that. But it's visually interesting, and sometimes that's all you need to get by. Wouldn't be worrying about this as much because there'd be none of it exposed, so it'd be just filled in and blended. But like I said, it's just a mental exercise here. So this here is a bit. Oh, we got this kind of. Oh, hey now, that's cool. Got this kind of vent looking thing here. Let's. Okay, and he's too wide. I was gonna say that would be pretty neat. Actually, that'd look really good if this dude wasn't quite so wide. But to have this mounted underneath, because you'd be able to utilize this little angled portion here to kind of box it off. There's no weird rails or anything here, and you'd only be using you know, you wouldn't need to get into the attachment part. So, yeah, bummer. If this dude was like 2-3 millimeters narrower, then that would have been a really, really cool thing. But it wouldn't look as good on top because it's way too square. It's just straight up flat, 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 and too heavy. So, bummer about that. Get another thing here. Okay. Yes, Rattler. It was the Super Soaker Rattler, and there's yeah, red and blue. Correct. So, good job. Good job, string folks, for taking care of that. Foam Blast thing looks so cool. Thank you very much, guys, for stopping by. And yet, Scar, the stock is horrible. Let me. I'll show you firsthand how bad it is. This is how short the stock actually is on this thing, Ed. Which is okay because you don't have to. There's no. It's just a grip for the sake of holding. There's no trigger or anything, but it's just that awful. And I had this guy up front. So looks cool, uncomfortable as uncomfortable things. So, but that's what it looks like if you're looking for one for the purpose of cutting up or whatever. The great part here is all that is that tank material. It doesn't really cut and paste. Doesn't really glue to anything very well. You could mechanically fasten it and kind of get by, I think, but I tried to avoid it and I just took the plastic off. Although the butt pad gets really nice shape, nice width, very comfortable, and fits on the back of a Raven pretty good. So there's that. And Ed, yes, I did try to shoulder it. When I bought this, I tried to actually use it, and yeah, it's a super soaker for trolls, small trolls. No problem. Just myself for now. Addie is out hunting for firewood and have a nice fire alarm. Our first snow in the new house. Oh yes, very nice, very nice. Hopefully that all goes well for you guys. If that's your first snow and first winter in the house, I hope you don't have any heating issues for sure. Yeah, Jay, that's the grip up here. It just for one thing, I like the grip for being a grip, and I think by cutting off and only using like the front inch would be kind of a travesty, and it really wouldn't fit well. It'd hang down a little too far, and I want to have it up a little bit. I want to just kind of fill the area here, not really add a lot of bulk necessarily. Which brings us to this guy here. This is the front piece that fits right in front of the magwell on a rapid strike that I cut out for, I don't remember what. Anyway, I just saw this in there and thought, hey, that would be kind of neat if you could use this and just tuck it in a little bit tighter than that to where the little, you know, you have that kind of tip down there to where, since you kind of naturally grab on right here anyway, if you're going to actually like lever prime it like that, to have that there where you kind of create a nice little pocket, a nice little corner here that blends everybody in and is nice and comfy. But I believe it is, and yes, it is too wide. Okay, put up, but that's always a pain in the neck because you have the screw ports and the screw bosses and stuff like that. You have to make sure you cut it down narrower on either side just enough. But the idea I really liked, and again, when you're dealing with integrations and stuff, and especially mock-ups, two-dimensional mock-ups are great until you realize that the stuff you want to put together is varying widths, and that screws everything up. Because that right there I think would work really cool. Tuck it in a little bit more and then just use a little bit of something to blend this in here. Would have been super neat, but that's not going to work. Bummer, but we move on. Grip to the thumbhole stock. Oh no, the tank part, I threw that out. It was I believe it had a hole in it anyway, so it wasn't usable as a tank, and the plastic itself is just doesn't work well. I think I've seen somebody. I know Exile has used the grip from the Zombie Strike 4 spray thing, pump sprayer, hamp, super soaker thing, and I can't remember what it's called. But it might be a bit different material, and I think he used his and fastened it mechanically. I'm not sure, but which would like to get one of those because it's got some cool pieces. But yeah, so using that as a grip, I don't think it would work under the circumstances here. Yes, and now that we've got the other bits out of the way, now we can go back and look at some things. So thank you again, Alice, for being the voice of reason in the room, which I'm sure you don't necessarily hear all the time. So let's. Sorry, I'm doing this really slow because of the delay in the stream, and so I'm trying to hold it to the camera so you can see. And again, I like the idea, but the difference in the rails is going to be super evident once they're all one color, and if it's all we try to paint it, it's going to be like, hey, how come your rail changes halfway through? Which would really bug me more than it probably should, but you know. But we do have the bottom thing out of the way as well. Oh, Alice, I believe you're the one that said to remove the sling loop and the whole front end thing so we can actually see what we're looking at. Yeah, it's doable. We'd be able to, because I think at that point I'd probably fill in and shave down the rail part so it's not actually a rail. I'm not super duper in love with it though. And perhaps the reason being it's very edgy. It's a very edgy piece. It does have some slopes and angles and stuff, but it's very sharp angles. Whereas the now main body of this thing is, I don't know what you call it. It's kind of like the Firefly, where it's still boxy-ish, but it's like curvaceous boxes, which I don't know if that's a thing, but it's a thing on this channel right now. So. Which I guess that kind of contradicts a few other things I was looking at as well. But I guess like this, where they're edges, they're sharp breaks, but there's also curves, and so it kind of matches the aesthetic a little bit. Which kind of you also have a little bit on this shell, where you have a bit more gentle curves and things, and so I didn't want to have too radical of a difference in structure, I guess. So for the heck of it, if we do anything with this guy up here, it's going to be weird and not look right. So we know that. Unless we put it like that, and that's too tall, and that's too weird. Still not right. Darn you, Alice. I'm not allowed to talk on the stream anymore, apparently. Okay, so we're going to revisit this guy. This is a weird thing, but I'm just part of me is kind of tickled with the idea of having kind of a I don't know, melee-ish integrated thing. Again, not for using in games, but just aesthetically for kind of that sci-fi vibe. And especially with this being a very sawed-off weapon, it would kind of hint at a close quarters compact thing, and so something that, yeah, if you're in tight enough quarters that this is what you're using and it's that compact, you'd probably be within range to smack somebody with this thing if it had some kind of edge or some kind of magic zappy cutty thing. Use your sci-fi brain or something, I guess. I don't know, that's not my department usually, but some people's it is, and so, imagination, it's a thing. Anyway, still kind of digging that idea. Again, it would it would give a place to kind of hang on to it, kind of, but maybe not. But again, I'm going to be flipping this thing most of the time anyway. It's not going to be a war practical blaster. It's going to be a really cool looking, fun play with blaster just for the heck of it. Now let's go back to this guy was too big. I don't think we looked at this guy. He's got some things going on here. He's a bit boxy here. He's got a loop on here. Not digging that as much as I thought I would at first. I saw this angle here, realized it's the wrong way. I don't really want to give it a... Oh, actually. No, not going to work. There's the body. Move the grip back in the space where the thumb hole stock was. Add a muzzle and a fuel bottle. Yeah, that'd be cool. Modification knife to that piece. Maybe the front grip on the barrel from the Vulcan hamster. Memes, memories, Nerf gun. The phone call. Did I miss anything? No, Michelle, you didn't miss anything. We've just been kind of moving things around and playing with stuff. Nothing really monumental has happened yet. If you want a knife, you could stick the old zombie strike thing. In all fairness, that was not a roast. That was a friendly jab at the fact that you actually got me on that one. So, and since it was brought up, I still would totally not work. That's way too much knife there. And I have plans for this guy anyway. Fun plans, cool plans, plans. Can we see what the underside of the Magnus would look like? Huh. If you flipped it upside down, use the bottom rail to replace the top rail. Huh. I reckon that's going to be... well, I put the muzzle in totally the wrong place. Get a heck of a humpback, though, which I think is a bit more than it already has. Sorry, so this reinforced can be primed with one hand. Yes, Jester Spartan. It is just a sling fire with a jacket on, basically. But yeah, it's okay, unintended projectile, but yes, it's yeah, it's all mechanically sound and everything, and can be flipped if yeah, I'm not going to risk smashing the camera or the table or whatever. But yeah, it's going to be. I've been walking around flipping this thing all day, so yes, it's a flipping blaster, quote unquote. All right. That'll give you the boxy cover to pull forward to the edge of the grade beds. Not quite long enough, straight silver. Not using the barrel, using the bottom part to cover the gap where the sling used to be. Ah, okay, you're talking just cutting off and using that bit. Gotcha. It's still a bit square, and then we're dealing with this little pronounced jutting out thing. So, yeah, not quite what I'm feeling. Fire with a cardigan. Okay. Might as well just shut the stream down. We're not going to get anything else better than that. So, thank you very much, Greg. And yes, Rebel Halcyon. Yeah, it's and there again. You can't really push that enough. Of the whole, like, you know, hey, I photoshopped two things together. This would work, and then you have to say, well, yeah, but if you know, the third dimension kills you every time. It's always that third axis you're looking at. But okay, so Huh. What the heck happened? Oh yeah, this came out. Let's put that in right though. Okay, had friends break Sling fire, starting for terminators. Very nice. Oh, I've never had a problem with mine. I've got one with a bit of a higher spring load. I've got one with a different lever and stuff like that. Never had any problems, but I've also not tried to break it. I'm sure if you really put your mind to it, you could do some damage. Okay. The orange tip and the tiny cylinder from group. Where are we at? Ion fire, ion fire, ion fire. That's the iron fire. Is that the modulus guy? The little breach load guy? I think he's got a regular in-strike attachment though. I don't think that would. I would like to not do that. I have like a box full of the in-strike attachment barrel pieces because I don't like them. Not because I collect them, but because I've taken them out of blasters and just they kind of accumulate in one place. Okay. Just came in the orange tip and tiny slanted foregrip. Ion fire, tiny. Maybe I'm not sure what you're talking about. Its friends come over the weekend when I was carrying Hellhound around for an hour, like playing with it. Great! It should be played with. I'm glad I got some time off the shelf. Show you a thing, and part of why I got started to do this. Is there an avenue for me to do that? Yes, at Rebel Halcyon. There should be links. They're probably not links in this. I'll have links later. There's links somewhere. Gosh, what on? I think on my main channel page thing, where when you find me on YouTube, it's the main screen. There should be links to Facebook and Instagram. Um, Reach out to me through one of those, either the other of those, whichever is most convenient and comfortable for you. And yeah, I'd be happy to throw some ideas around, or if you want to show some stuff off, or whatever you like. Yeah, if you want to chat with me directly, go ahead and just reach out to me that way. And that goes for everybody. That's just kind of a general statement as well. Forget how much lighter. Time. Oh, sorry. Facebook. My Facebook is Mr. Nathan Mods, I believe. Facebook and Instagram both is Mr. Nathan Mods. So if Facebook's your thing, reach out to me through there. If Instagram's your thing, reach out through me through there. If you're clever and find out some other way of getting a hold of me, by all means, go right ahead. Breech loader, modulus pistol. Just thought its small slanted foregrip might work as a grip in front of the magwell. I'm not picturing the thing, darn it. That said, I do not have one for reference. If I come across one though, a slanted foregrip, did I have a foregrip? Huh. Anyway, I'll keep that in mind though if I don't find a suitable fix for it here. Where the heck were we? I was throwing things around. Oh, there we go. Okay, this guy wrote him off. I need more toads. Okay. All right, so wasn't really digging this there. This is a possibility for sure. This would definitely give us the fill in this space. It'd give us a bit of an angle here. It'd give us a little interesting visual texture and stuff. I don't think we'd be getting into this big tall bump. We'd be able to tuck it back in a ways. Let me hold it up where you guys can see that. Something like that. Doable. Again, I'd fill in the holes on the side. Part of me still likes the idea of having some kind of tubish thing. That's not looking as good anymore. This is just a glue stick as a space placeholder. Maybe we'll use a battery so we can see it better. A thing. It's not looking as good now as it was in my head earlier. Or something bigger? No. I think, I'm still kind of digging this. Is anybody want to fight me on this one? Tell me that it's a bad idea? Oh, geez, you guys can pick up the train. I can honestly barely hear the train, but then I've got the furnace right here, which might be kind of drowning some of it out. Yes, that's our train. It's about the only train that comes through. I'm not honestly not sure of anything about train schedules. Okay, so you guys thinking like, nice. So thinking like that. Okay, just for the heck of it, let's try to center this dude up a little bit better. Gosh. Is that a thing? Are you guys seeing that? No, am I doing that right? Okay. Huh. See, part of me is still on the fence about this. I'm kind of convincing myself about this guy here. Part of me is like flirting with the idea that having this to be kind of a, like I said, kind of a snub-nosed bayonet, if that's a thing. I like the novelty and the idea of that, but I don't know if it's... Sure. I think I'm about sold on this. I think the orange also has really thrown me off, but I think my brain knows that, hey, once it's colored, body color, it'll look okay. Again, I'm digging the idea of this thing here, just for that purpose of being able to fictionally slap people with it. Oh, Ed, are you losing your cool on stream? Gosh. For no longer, at least I. There you go. Okay. Ed, I think you need to speak to me in like imperial measurements, and then I can hear. So, okay. I think, like I said, I think I'm okay with this here. I'm pretty happy with that, relatively. Or at least I'm going to cut on it, since I have another one of these at least, and I've got like 3 dozen fireflies still. So I'm sure I can sacrifice one of these guys. We'll mock it up. There again, I like the idea, but I don't know if it's really what I want. Part of me just wants to have something kind of bulky on there, kind of like I'm still kind of digging this. Just there again, not for a functional sling mount, but just a visual interest in having a line here, something to kind of hang on to. like the novelty. You know what? I'm gonna start with that. Get this out of the way. Firsties. Format. I have a thing to write with. This is, I believe, should be regular ABS. It's kind of a different, slightly different, but it's not that weird soft stuff that has like fibers in it, you know, or whatever you want to call it. I believe it's basically ABS, just a slightly different flavor. We'll just lop them off there, knock that off. Okay, where's my... There we go. Okay. Now this is the part of the stream where you plug your ears or turn down the volume or do whatever you got to do so that I don't have to apologize. So just give me a minute. Alright. Now if anyone was noticing, I totally gouged the crap out of this here with the end of the Dremel bit. But I think we can still save that. That'll be kind of a blending point anyway, so I'm sure a little goo is going to get in there, and we'll just sand it off and it'll be beautiful. So, anyway. Now that's where we find that this is totally not the right angle. Correct angle, rather. Which I was well aware of. I just need to get the rest of the gunk off there so we can kind of line this up a little better. Looks like the top of the line is good. We just need to cut it inboard a little bit further. Okay, that's approximately the angle. We can just shave off another quarter inch or so. reckon that is fairly well fitted. It's not, I didn't want it right on the line, which works out good. It's scooted back just a bit. I'd scoot it back a little bit more. Nah. I think that's a nice, comfortable level. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah. I'm relatively happy with that. Okay. All right. Okay. Oh, holy cow, Ed. Do I owe you a check for your PR services? All right. Okay. No, I got the hot glue gun plugged in, and we'll tack this dude in place and see how it makes us feel. Tack this dude also, so I don't throw him across the room again. Okay, if you were sensing that buzzing, then yeah, that was the missus calling, which means, let's see, 6:36. Is she on her way home yet? Huh. Okay. Well, we might be wrapping up here in a few minutes. Because my wife's heading back from her appointment. And then she's wanting to go out and see a movie. So we may or may not go see a movie tonight. So, anyway, we got about 20 minutes or so. Yeah, I'm happy enough with that. And where's that other thing? Yeah. Don't really need these guys anymore. I considered trimming them off and you're using this to fill that in, but I might as well just build a new panel that fits in there, since it's just a flat panel. And since that's kind of faded anyway, and it's brittle. So, yeah, it's... Yeah, I don't know, it's probably not going to show up on stream, but you can see where it's just cracking like crazy. Just sun-baked, because super soakers get played with in the yard, and then they stay in the yard all summer. So... Yes, Michelle, that is exactly what she wanted to go see. Which, it's like, okay. The first one was good. We saw it like the week it came out. We went like at midnight and saw it, and we're like, hey, that was a good show. Wow, that's really cool. And then like the song wouldn't shut up, and then you learn to like hate the show because you can't get away from it and stuff. And so the show is kind of a victim of its own success because everybody hates it because it did so well, because it's so annoying now. Anyway, there's a sequel. Because apparently the money started to slow down or something. I don't know. Hey, the first one honestly was a good show. It's just she gets so tired of it after how many years? Anyway, so yes, that's what she wants to go see. So we'll see what kind of mood she's in when she gets home. Because when we talked about it, it was several hours ago. And I don't know if traffic was dumb and nasty and stuff. She might just want to come home and eat and not do anything. So we'll find out when she gets home. Or maybe she's calling to say, hey, we're not doing that at all. I don't know. It's a mystery. In fact, see, what would be crazy, she knows I'm live streaming, so maybe she'll chat, be like, hey, answer your phone, and I'll be like, hey, my phone's streaming and stuff, and it'll be great. Anyway, so, wouldn't that be fun? But if she's driving, she's probably not going to try to hop on the stream, so that's okay. Let's ring the phone. Love you and stuff. So, anyway. There we go. Okay. We're rolling. You buzzing in? Hang on a second. Checking. Oh, 2 calls. Uh-oh. Where's the thing? Uh-oh. My work phone's ringing. That's probably her. Hey, be right back. Put you on the string. I know, but you have I invited you on the stream. I thought, you could just. Oh, dang it! See, if you were, then you wouldn't have the notification about stream, and you'd be like, hey, I can just contact you while I stream. Oh, you didn't ring my bell. You gotta smash that like button. Ring that bell for your notifications. Yeah. Hey, this is serious business. Don't you want to be successful? We were just talking about that. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. We'll take a poll here. No, this is live. This is live. This is real, okay? Okay. Okay. Hi, stream folks. I have the missus on the phone here, and she wants me to take her out to the movie. So, let's take it's 6:41 right now on my thing here. So, vote yes for going to the movie, vote no for not going to the movie, and at 6:42, dang it, it's 6:42 already. In one more minute, then we will take a poll, we'll tally the votes, and we'll proceed accordingly. So now, honey, the clock is ticking. Oh, Ed, you suck up. Dang it. Well, it's looking good for you so far. Great. Yes, that was also discussed as well. Oh man, okay. Votes are they're just pouring in right now. Haven't gotten a single negative, not even somebody just trying to be an antagonist. That is great. Okay, it's official. My fan base is your fan base. And Krieger's fan base. Yeah, you over there in the chair. But you're a good boy. Okay, well. Foam Blast just bought you a movie. Dang it, and popcorn. Okay, well. Mrs. says, thank you, Michelle. Thank you very much. I was mostly just goofing around, just for kicks, but yeah, there it is. Okay. It's 6:43 and all the votes are in. Oh, we got a last minute no, just to be different, so. Okay, well, are you heading home right now? 15 minutes? Holy cow, you're going fast. Okay, well, I've got a thing to glue in place, and then I can shut things down, say goodbye to everybody, and then get smelling nice and be ready to take you out. How's that? Is it? Well, all right. Okie doke. Love you. Be safe. Bye. All right, gang. So, being true to my word, I'm going to glue a thing in place, and then say goodbye to y'all, and then I gotta try to smell good so we can go out. So thank you all for sticking around and being silly and bearing with me in my silliness, because that's generally how we operate around the Nathan household. I'm very, very fortunate that she puts up with my nonsense, so. Okay. Uh-oh, got to glue that guy. Not out of the woods yet, folks. Okay. Yeah, I'm relatively happy with that. That does kind of tick all the boxes for me. It maintains the kind of boxy nature, kind of follows this line, gives a bit of, still a bit of definition. It drops down just a little bit before it turns into this, gives you a couple little humpy bumpy things to look cool. I think it does more favors than the little loop thing did. I'm still not quite totally sold on what I'm going to do down here. Like I said, the novelty of having this is kind of fun and silly. And it actually does look better having that on here with the top end fixed. All right. Oh, what kind of hot glue gun is that? Honestly, it's one that's been kicking around for a long time. It is a Bostik, Bostik. Oh boy, it's all Bostik Consumer Division. Thermogrip. 12 volts, model 203, 70 watt, US patent 3204828, if that's any helpful information. This is actually my backup one that I used to use. I have a fancier one that's got the trigger on it and is a little more reliable. But my wife borrowed it and then it didn't come home yet because that's what happens sometimes. Anyway, so yeah, it's basically just a cord that goes into a thing that gets hot and then you just push that in. But yeah, it does have a nice fine tip, and it's nice to get into weird little areas and stuff instead of having something big and clunky that you can't. I mean, I can get in and you know, spots on the inside if I need to. Bostik, I've heard of that, but my brain doesn't register it as being a necessarily like, oh yeah, that's a super good quality, or that's not a good quality. I don't know. So if you know if it's good or bad, then chime in. But that is what it is, and it's been reliable. In fact, my dad had it for years, kicking around before I used it. So there's that. Looks so good. Marilia Motter, more of an artist. No. Both. Yes, the furnace just shut off, Alice. It just kind of kicks on, kicks off intermittently, just on the thermostat. So yeah, which is weird, especially when I'm like recording, like doing videos and stuff. I'll be in here and I'll be like trying to talk over the furnace, and then it'll shut off, and I'm like, oh crap, have I been yelling? So, all right. Sticking barricade under a hellfire. Barricade under hellfire. I reckon there's room for that. Wish I had more practical uses for my blasters. Well, yeah, I mean, Nerf is only so practical after all. I mean, if you're not shooting your friends in the face, then that's, I mean, you can shoot at like stationary targets, and I guess that's okay too. But good look around for a fine tip one, a vintage model. Yeah, it's an oldie. I don't know if it's didn't have any date stuff on it, but no, it's yeah, as I recall, it's rather old. So if one shows up locally, I mean, if I come across one, then I can certainly hook you guys up. If you find one in the meantime, then cool too. Sure Bonder Hybrid 20. Sure Bonder. I mean, that sounds pretty like positive. I mean, you want something that bonds stuff together, and sure is generally. I mean, it's like you know, bond stuff together. Sure. I mean, that sounds cool. So also have replacement and all stuff in your hot glue gun, then that would jam it up. Uh-oh. Is mom home? All right. I better wrap things up because I don't know how long it's been since I've been on the phone. So, all right. Thank you everybody for stopping by. I mean, we had what? We're 24 people right now. Well, thanks for thanks for taking a minute out of your Tuesday evening to stop by and say hi and watch me hold up parts to other parts and look at parts and scratch my head and stuff like that. Thank you all for your input as well. It's always welcome because everybody sees things differently, everybody interprets things differently, and everybody just views things differently. Everybody's brain works differently, and it's always nice to get a group of people, even though I kind of have a plan of attack or a basic idea of what I want. Sometimes I get a weird suggestion, and it's like, oh, you know what? I hadn't thought about turning this thing upside down or whatever. It's, you know, sometimes your preconceived bias of this is a stock, so it kind of needs to do stocky things, but somebody else might just say this one line looks good or something like that. So that's all it takes is just a different perspective on things, and it's always appreciated. And I always appreciate you guys taking time out of your busy days when you can be doing other cool things like watching funner things or more educational things or hanging out with friends and stuff like that. So appreciate you all for your time and dedication. I hope you all have a wonderful and safe evening, and we'll talk to you guys some other time.